I love to eat. My favorite foods include deep dish beef and cheese pizza, a heaping pile of spaghetti with a rich red sauce and hearty meatballs, and a nice warm loaf of bread. The only problem is I can't eat those things. My name is Kirk Kelly. I am a husband, a father, a student, a programmer, and a celiac. Some of my most difficult struggles revolve around food, primarily dealing with the social implications related to a gluten-free diet. It all began with an awareness that something was wrong. For several years I had this feeling that something was amiss with my health, but I couldn't figure out what it was. For example, despite massive food intake, I was not gaining weight. I always felt tired and was common or frequently plagued with stomach cramps. In mid-July of 2005, my father called me up. After a few minutes of talking, he told me something that would change my life forever. He was a celiac, and they had recently confirmed that celiac is genetic. After a doctor visit and 3 weeks of waiting, I received a very brief letter stating that I do in fact have celiac disease. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disease that is triggered by the presence of gluten. Gluten is found in wheat, barley, and rye, and because of American farming practices, cross-contaminates oats. With the little information I had to go on, I had to start my diet from scratch. Suddenly, I was no longer able to eat at my favorite restaurants. Suddenly, I was no longer able to participate in the free employee appreciation lunches and snacks. And suddenly, a trip down the bread aisle was an emotional experience. After a few months, I felt the physical impacts of the diet. I had more energy throughout the day, I began gaining weight, and surprisingly, my body was producing more oils, something it hadn't been able to do because of malnutrition. So the stomach cramps are gone, I'm gaining weight and feeling healthier. Things can only get better, right? Well, healing takes time and love. I could not have asked for any more support than that provided by my wife and family. We stopped going out to eat. We began baking using alternative flours. My wife even went so far as to join me on the gluten-free diet, voluntarily. She immediately recognized that there were going to be a lot of social and emotional impacts related to celiac disease. She later came to say that because of her experience on the diet, she was able to fully understand and recognize what it was like for me to be a celiac. Because not eating bread is not the same as not being able to eat bread again. It takes conviction to remain on such a restrictive diet. My incentive to stay gluten-free is so that I can live a long and healthy life with my family. I have found healing through telling my story, through sharing with coworkers, friends, and even strangers the awareness of such a common disease is spread, but even where it's never heard of. I've shared some of my struggles with my recent diagnosis. For a long time I was haunted with the feeling that something was wrong. I eventually discovered what that was and overcame it, but not without frustrations along the way. While I still miss my diet, pharmaceuticals are working to realize a dream of many celiacs, and that is the ability to consume gluten without the adverse consequences. This hope could be realized in the next few years. Thank you.